Hello and welcome back to the channel. For my day job, I use a MacBook Pro 15-inch, one of the newer models, and as you're probably aware, it has 4 USB-C ports. That's it. Which does get the job done, but it means that if you want to do any sort of expandability, you generally have to use a whole lot of dongles. And as you can probably tell from the title, the description, the thumbnail, and everything else, a company reached out to me and offered to send out a docking station, which I have here in front of me. Actually, I have the box for it, but we'll get back to that. This is the IC-Box Thunderbolt 3 docking station. Specific model number is IB-DK2801-TB3. So let's take a look at what comes in the box. Okay, so as you can see from the outside, it does have Thunderbolt 3 support for up to 40 gigabits per second, power delivery 2.0 up to 85 watts, so this shouldn't have any problem powering a MacBook Pro 15-inch. With just one USB Type-C Thunderbolt 3 connection, you get one Thunderbolt 3 Type-C output, two Gen 2 USB 3.1 outputs, four USB 3 Type-A outputs, HDMI, mini DisplayPort, VGA, Gigabit LAN, an SD card reader, which I guess is technically an input, and an audio combo port, so presumably headphone and microphone. And just looking at the picture on the side, this is going to be a bundle of wires. So inside the box, of course, you get the docking station with a USB-C cable that does have the Thunderbolt 3 logo on it, a decent length power cable with this little tri-barrel connector on one end, and the other portion of the power adapter. There's your tri-barrel plug and the little yellow barrel connector that will go into the back of the docking station. And it does show the output here is 20 volts at 9 amps, 180 watts. You also get a little bit of documentation. And finally, here is the IC-Box docking station itself. It looks like there's a status LED here on the front. We do have some plastic on the outside of this, so I'll peel that off to make it easier to see. And on the other end. So on this side you have two USB-C ports. They both have the Super Speed logo on it, an SD reader 4.0, the multi-purpose audio jack. It does show a pair of gaming headphones there, four USB 3 ports, a gigabit Ethernet port, the 15-watt USB-C output, the 85-watt output, which looks to be the main connection for your computer USB-C, VGA, mini DisplayPort, full-size HDMI, full-size DisplayPort, and the power connection. And then on the other side, a Kensington lock, as well as the power button to make everything work. On the bottom, you do have four rubberized feet, so it shouldn't slide around on your desk. And this is made of very solid-feeling aluminum, which hopefully will help with some heat dissipation, but it is just plastic around all the rest of it. And as you can probably imagine, I did film that earlier because I've actually, for the last couple of days, been using this at work with my laptop, and I thought I'd share just some initial thoughts and impressions on it. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this does have 14 ports on it, but after reading through the manual, I came to learn that if you're on a Windows machine, you can use up to 3 of the video connectors. There are 4 video connectors, 5 if you count Thunderbolt. But again, on a Windows machine, you can only use up to 3 of those at a time. Possibly 4 if you're using Thunderbolt 3, but they have this whole chart inside of the manual that tells you exactly how it's supposed to work when you're using DisplayPort, HDMI, mini DisplayPort, VGA, and Thunderbolt 3. So it's only supposed to work with up to 3 monitors. The problem with this is on a macOS machine, which is what I'm using, it says it only supports 1 output. macOS operating system-based computers, single stream transfer protocol, SST only. And it does say over and over again here the different resolutions you can get on either DisplayPort, HDMI, mini DisplayPort, VGA, or Thunderbolt 3. But as you can see from this video clip, I was able to actually get video output on 2 different ports at one time, partially because one of those ports is going to a USB-C monitor over Thunderbolt 3. So I have a DisplayPort going out to one monitor, and then I have USB-C going out to another one. So I do have 3 monitors going, if you count the laptop monitor as well, which has been a big improvement over my having the laptop alone and then having the laptop with 1 extra monitor I had for a little while. The other really cool thing about this, and I didn't really pay attention whenever they offered to ship this out, I even saw it on the front of the box here, it supports power delivery 2.0 up to 85 watts, which means that my MacBook Pro can plug in with 1 cable and get output to 2 monitors, Ethernet, audio, USB, USB-C, and SD. And I have tested all of those things in the last couple of days. Ethernet works just fine. I disabled the wireless on my Mac and used the Ethernet, no problems there. I checked the USB 3 ports using just a USB flash drive that I had. Speeds were no problem. Same thing for the SD card slot. I took in the SD cards from one of my cameras and actually used it, and no problems there. And in terms of the monitors, again, on my Mac, I attempted to plug in both VGA and DisplayPort or HDMI, and they both did show up at the same time, but when I plugged those two things in together, it mirrored them. So I would have one monitor that was my laptop screen The other two monitors were the same display, and I couldn't change them. It just saw them as one, and it got very laggy and jerky when I did that. The other thing to kind of mention here, the DisplayPort and HDMI ports are very, very close together. From their little manual, they will not work together, so it doesn't really matter, but if they did work together, you probably couldn't get them to work together because the cables are going to be so thick, just the thickness around the actual connector, that you're not going to be able to plug in both at the same time. I will admit, I have not had a chance to test this with my Windows laptop. I just don't have a Windows laptop at work, and I haven't taken my Alienware laptop in yet. I would be certain that it will work just fine, and on any laptop you've got that has Thunderbolt 3, this is going to work very, very well. But one way or the other, very early impressions of this device. It has lots and lots of ports. It's aluminum, so it's very sturdy. It does get quite warm, but it's not hot to the touch or anything. It's fanless, so it doesn't have any way to dissipate other than the aluminum radiating a little bit of heat. Everything I've tested with it has worked just fine, just those weird little issues with it being a Mac and only working with a couple of connections for video purposes, but it has made my workflow at work a little bit easier because now I can have things spread out over 3 monitors, and when I walk in the morning, plug one USB-C cable in and everything comes up. That's lovely. The downside, obviously, this thing is about $320 US, $300 sometimes, around 300 euros if you're in Europe. Pretty consistent pricing from what I've seen online, which is a lot of money. However, this company, Raid Sonic, ICBox, whichever name they want to go by, they make a bunch of different options for this. So there's this 14 port one, but if you don't need that many ports, they have smaller ones. They have ones that have fewer USB ports, that have no USB ports. You can sort of pick and choose what you want. I've seen them as cheap as about $130 on Amazon with a lot fewer ports, but still adding a lot of options to your existing device if you have a Thunderbolt connection, or USB-C in some cases. So I'll put a link to where you can find this specific device down in the video description, but also probably a couple of links to other ones that are a little smaller, a little bit less expensive. If you're in the market though, to get a USB-C power adapter that's capable of supporting the MacBook Pro, you're looking at paying $80 to $100. To get the little dongles and everything to make HDMI or DisplayPort or whatever else work, you're again looking at probably $30 to $50, maybe more each. So putting all these things into one box, which is one cable, without having to have a huge amount of different dongles and everything, for $300, I feel it's somewhat reasonable. But I will leave that up to you if that's something that you're interested in. Again, links to everything down below. Thanks so much to Raid Sonic, to ICBox for sending this out for me to take a look at. Sorry it took me a little longer than anticipated to get a chance to look at it because I left town for about a week and a half. Thanks to you guys for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this quick video. Hit the thumbs up if you happen to like it. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already, if you want to get notified when new videos do become available. Lots and lots of stuff in the works. Lots of stuff behind me. I've got so much stuff to do, and I'm going to jump on that whenever I've got time. But again, thanks so much for watching, for sticking around, for supporting the channel, and I'll see you again next time.